Welcome to the Wrestling Still Cool podcast. My name's Cam. That's Mark.
Y'all doing? Wrestling still cool, y'all.
We're going to talk about the 1997 Survivor Series, probably one of the more infamous Survivor Series in WWF history. It took place on November 9th, 1997 from the Molson Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The irony is that the tagline was gang rules, which that has to do with more related to the other matches. But everyone knows this because of the Montreal ScrewJob. Let's be honest. So the first thing that took place was the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin and Phineas Godwin, and the New Age Outlaws against the Headbangers with the New Blackjacks. New Blackjacks consisted of Bradshaw and Barry Windham. Barry Windham with a very bad dye job, making his hair darker. What did you think of this one?
Definitely a bad dye job on the hairstyle. It was pretty bad. First off, I want to say I'm glad we were doing this episode of the ScrewJob. I was wanting to do this for obvious reasons. Very sensitive. One of the most controversial moments in wrestling history, especially the most controversial Survivor Series. So, and the Survivor Series is this week, so it's good to cover this. But this match was all right. I thought it was pretty decent. I said they had bad hair dye job. Look at also Bradshaw in his fairly earlier years. It was our match. It was entertaining for it. And interesting concept with the New Age Outlaws and the Godwins teaming up. Of course, with Headbangers and Blackjacks was also interesting too. So I thought it was an all right, fair kickoff to the show. I gave it a 5.7.
You gave it higher than me. I did give it a 5. I do think it kind of played to the strengths of the people involved. It was weird hearing Road Dogg and Billy Gunn come out to music that wasn't the "Oh You Didn't Know" song.
Yeah.
It was very bluegrassy, I guess you'd say. But it was different, very, very different.
Well,
and then
the Godwins theme.
It was a Godwin's theme? Okay, I wasn't sure because I don't know the Godwin's theme by heart. But I'm listening to this music play, and I'm like, this is not the New Age Outlaws. And Billy Gunn looked weird in the gear he had, too.
Yeah, that was an early time. That was some months when they got together in the tag team.
That's what commentary said, that they've only been together for a short period of time. And then, I think it was King that made a reference. It was like, I don't know how I feel about calling someone badass, but...
Yeah, it was. They were very honestly when they first came out. I had no idea. It was that time I was going back and forth between them and WCW, watching a little more WCW than WWF back then. And when I first was looking at them, heard about their name, I was like, "Who the heck is the New Age Outlaws?" Never heard of them. And I think the internet was starting to come up a little bit. I seen their name online one day, and I think it's how it worked out at least. And this was about, say, 6 months. Well, let's say 5 or 6 months prior to the new DX. So they hadn't reached that kind of level yet, at least that kind of persona. Let's go with that. And so it's, they were still new to as New Age Outlaws, at least. They were, been in WWF for a little while, but they were a new tag team. I thought it was pretty good, decent kickoff though.
Did the new DX push them further, make their name more well known?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay, because that was prior to me watching it. I think the first DX match I saw was the WrestleMania where Stone Cold beat Shawn Michaels and the New Age Outlaws dumped Terry Funk and Cactus Jack off the stage in a dumpster.
That was that was on a Raw. They did it kind of similar.
Well, they had a match. Then they had a match at WrestleMania because of that. Then
yeah.
I had that tape sent down to me by my grandmother.
That's
the only reason why we had it. It had that match on there, and then it had a Kane match and a Luna Vachon thing. That's the only things I can remember from it.
Actually, I remember that Monday Night Raw with the dumpster being tossed off the stage, or whatever, rolled off the stage, I should say. And I was actually going back and forth between WCW, Nitro and Raw. And when I seen that, it looked so real with all these stars and wrestlers out there, as well as Bishop Man out there. But it looked so real. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay on Raw for a little while. And
the main thing I remember from that tape is I watched it. My mom was in the room because it was my mom's mom who sent it down. And my mom was in the room. She goes, "Well, that's fitting. This show's garbage, so they used a garbage can."
That's crazy. That's funny. But it was a good kickoff, 5.7. So yeah, absolutely.
The next one was the Truth Commission, where they all had a bunch of names like Interrogator, Jackal, Recon, Sniper. Jackal is he's part of Impact now. Don Callis. Don Callis was the Jackal, and he was on commentary with King and JR. There was actually a remark that JR said when Jackal walked away from commentary, and King called him out. He goes, "Whoa, why didn't you say that when you were sitting here?" They faced off against the Disciples of Apocalypse, aka DOA, which was 8-Ball, Chains, Crush, and Skull. You guys probably know Chains from when he was the impersonating Undertaker. And Crush, we talked about him before because he was Bryan Adams in WCW, part of Chronic.
That was actually Brian Lee when that was his real name. But yeah, that's his fake Undertaker. It's all right. I had it.
He was the imposter.
Yeah, Big Brian Lee, and
wasn't Skull and 8-Ball? Weren't they the Bald brothers that wrestled in as like 7 different names?
Yeah, their last big run they had was the Harris brothers.
Yeah,
and WCW, and
like Ronald and Don or something like that.
Yeah, Ron and Don, the Harris brothers. They just call them Harris brothers mainly. I think they had a little run, if I'm not mistaken, in TNA in an earlier time. I believe. But yeah, that's then of course they said big Bryan Adams. Eventually, his last big run was with Chronic. So I was actually a big fan of Kurrigan, the Interrogator. I liked Kurrigan. That's the only character I liked out of that bunch. But yeah, what'd you think about the match?
It was one of those where it kind of seemed like the weaknesses were really exposed. What I mean by that is like nothing gets Crushed, nothing gets Chains and all that. But they work better with people that can work with them. And some of the guys were pretty good. Like I said, you mentioned Kurgan. I think one of the guys, I don't remember what he went by on this show, but I think it was, God, what was his name? He was part of John Cena thing, B Square, Bull Buchanan. I think Bull Buchanan was one of the guys that was part of that group. But
what group? Sorry,
Truth Commission. He was one of the guys. I recognized him.
Really? I guess.
Yeah, but I don't remember. Yeah, he was in this match. I don't remember if his name was Recon or Sniper, but one of them was Bull Buchanan. It was one of those where it's like, oh, it's B Squared. I
guess I didn't catch that part. Huh.
I have a weird thing of being able to recognize people, and if I search them,
too.
Yeah,
I guess I do too. I guess I didn't catch that part. That's
just like when they called Crush. I'm like, oh, that looks like Bryan Adams. I'm like, wait, that would have been Bryan Adams.
Yeah. It's funny, like between wrestling and also when I watch like TV shows and movies, like I'll kind of notice, then like, no way, that's not the same person. Someone will say, "Oh no, it is." But
yeah.
I just didn't. I guess I just. That's odd. I just didn't. Okay. I just didn't really see that.
But rating wise, between a 4 and a 4.5, I'll probably be a little generous and do a 4.5.
I gave it a 4.
Okay. So you and I are on the same path.
Yeah.
Was it your same feeling like the weaknesses were exposed?
That, yeah, just between that, there just wasn't a anything that was overly appealing. It just it's the weaknesses and just there wasn't much storytelling or just anything going on from that really caught my eye for it, honestly. There is one thing I want to throw in here. I'm gonna have some laughs on me. After it took me like a day and a half to watch this recently, and when I first started watching, it was late at night. And I was a little tired, and also I knew mentally I knew they were in Canada, but I didn't ring the bell. It didn't ring my bells. I heard this ring announcer talking in a very different an accent. Like, why is there an accent? I was like,
I know what you're talking about. I noticed that too when they were doing the call outs. I'm like, now I know that's a form of English somewhere in there, and I'm like, why would this be in? I'm like, this sounds like French. Why would it be French? I'm like, wait, the reason Brett didn't want to drop the title is in Canada. Oh, they're in Canada.
Yeah, as mentally, I knew it was. Like I said, I knew they were in Canada. There was lost your job and so forth, so on. But I just I know I'm tired, but why am I? Oh yeah, that makes sense. They're trying to put a French, Canadian, whatever guy, and there and all that stuff. Okay, that makes better sense. Anyways, I did take a minute to catch that one, but anyways.
And I just kind of realized because I'm looking at my notes, there was 4 of these Survivor Series elimination matches.
Yeah, I met them. So.
The next one, I'm going to mention the people that make a remark. You have Team Canada. You have the British Bulldog, which I'm 90% sure he's from England. Doug Furness, Jim Neidhart, Phil LaFleur, and versus Team USA, Golddust, Mark Marrow, Steve Blackman, and Vader. Who the hell put together Team USA? Because, okay, I could see Mark Marrow, because, okay, boxer, whatever. I could kind of see Steve Blackman, which they kind of let in. This was a new guy, martial arts. But who looks at Golddust and Vader go, that's America? Like, you have a guy with name British Bulldog in Team Canada, which is bad enough as it is.
There's only one person that's originally from Canada in that team, by the way.
It's not Jim Neidhart. I know he's not from there.
No, it was
Phil LaFleur?
Yeah, him. I couldn't even pronounce his name. I even heard him. I couldn't even spell his name right.
But okay, you can make the argument on characters like Jim Neidhart. Oh, okay, he's trained with the Hearts. He's got a love for Canada. Whatever. But British Bulldog, like. And then I see Team America, which they came out to Kurt Angle's music, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why Golddust and Vader? Like,
Golddust is America. That's hilarious. You said that. That's America.
Well,
I can't stop laughing at that one. That's an American guy. Oh my god, sorry.
You get my point though, right? Like, I understand, like, if Golddust, we're not gonna have you be Golddust anymore. You can be Dustin Rhodes for this. That would make more damn sense. At least take on the fact that Dustin Rhodes is Dusty Rhodes' son. He's from Texas. But no, you picked the guy that's a fake Hollywood statue.
Yeah,
who's it? What's the word? I can't think of a word, but basically you can't tell if he's gay or straight. Like, people always try to say that Vince views himself as a patriot. A lot of the characters he pushes the most is what he thinks of himself. You know, like American Made, Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger with the Lex USA thing. He picks fucking Golddust and Vader to represent them in this match.
Honestly, I can see Vader more than Golddust, but only thing I can say is that Golddust at that time frame was a rising star in WWF, and he had a lot more name back then than obviously later years. But
they picked a masked wrestler and a painted wrestler to. I'm sorry, this is gonna eat at me. And it did when I'm watching this.
That's funny we said this is America.
There's no way in hell he would do that today. If he was going to do a Team America today using the people that he had, he'd probably pick Chad Gable. He'd probably pick Bobby Lashley.